Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by the Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission. The Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission advocates on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels.
Hi, and welcome to Community Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to start out tonight talking with Andrea Watson from the Reynolds School District. Andrea is the communications manager and is going to tell us about some exciting groundbreakings that are going to be taking place in this community. Welcome, Andrea. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, Monica. It's wonderful to be here.
Thanks. And you are the communications manager, right? Is that the right title?
Yeah.
And you also used to be the chair, or the president of the MetroEast Board of Directors.
Correct. It was a great honor to serve this organization.
Yeah, well, it was good to have you here. And it's nice to have that continuing relationship with you through the school district. So what's going on at Reynolds? There's been a lot of stuff in the news, and if you live in this community, you've got to know that there's big changes taking place.
Yes,
tell me what's going on.
Yeah, so there's a lot of really fantastic work going on. In May of 2015, our district's voters approved a bond measure to do capital construction projects. And so far, we've completed 3 of the safety and security vestibules at Salish Ponds Elementary, Sweetbriar Elementary, and Reynolds Middle Schools. And so you might not see those if you don't have kids in the schools or you weren't there before or after, you might not even notice the changes.
Yeah, you wouldn't know, yeah.
But that's one of the big elements of the projects, and those will be continuing on, and the pace of those is going to pick up here considerably over the summer. And then you're seeing a lot in the news right now about these fabulous groundbreaking events that we're going to be doing this month. And those are really to highlight the 4 major projects that are going to have investments in them. And those are replacing our 3 oldest elementary schools, Fairview, Troutdale, and Wilkes Elementaries. So a new school is going to be constructed on the same property, and then the students and staff will move into the new school, and the old building will be raised, and where those sit now will be play areas, fields, and parking.
Well, that's exciting. The kids ought to be excited about that too, and the parents. I know that, yeah, some of those schools have been around for a while.
Yes, absolutely. Wilkes is the oldest building, and it's about 103 years old right now.
So, wow, it's probably due then.
It'll be 105 or 106 when the new building opens up. And then the other 2, those are about 90 right now, 90 years old. So they were 88 when the voters approved the bond, but they just keep getting older. And,
as we all do. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of amazing. You brought a video that kind of talks a little bit about what's coming up. Do you mind if we go ahead and take a look at that now?
No, that'd be great. It's a real good overview of the scope of the work.
The scope of the project, yeah. Let's go ahead and roll that video.
I'm just excited for people to be able to improve the schools within Reynolds, and I think that it's great that they're looking at safety, they're looking at what is best for the kids and the community.
We realize we're designing not a school for today, but a school for tomorrow, and really imagining what education will look like in 20, 30 years.
The community should be very proud that they voted for this, that they're investing in their kids and kids growing up here and feeling safe and secure.
I'm also glad that all the schools will have good access in the front and then hopefully also in the interior for teachers as far as safety for students, and then as well as visitors coming in and out and around the grounds.
In May 2015, the Reynolds community passed a bond measure to make long-needed improvements to our schools. The bond projects include replacing Troutdale, Fairview, and Wilkes Elementary Schools with brand new buildings and significantly updating and renovating Reynolds High School. In addition, all district schools will receive safety and security improvements. The project architects worked closely with the community, faculty, staff, and the students to create conceptual designs unique to each school. Our goal is to create safe, smart, sustainable schools that support students and provide hubs for the whole community. We thank the Reynolds community for your investment in our future. To view the school designs and to sign up for updates, visit the project website.
Well, that's exciting. It's exciting stuff. So you mentioned the 3 elementary schools that are being totally replaced, and they mentioned also Reynolds High School. What else is going to be happening at Reynolds then?
Sure. Again, that is one of the 4 major projects. And the high school has extensive crowding. There's a lot of students there. It was really never initially designed to house that many students, so they've had a lot of additions through the years. And it's time to do some major renovating there. So there's going to be new science labs, science classrooms, additional classrooms, and then the common areas where we have food service, and at high school a lot of gathering activities there in the commons. That's all going to be expanded, and then the kind of services that the community, parents, and are accessing when they come to the school, things like counseling services, have been right in the middle of the school, and those are going to be relocated up to the front entrance.
Okay.
So when people come in and they need to meet with someone, that's all going to be taking place in the front of the building. They're not going to have to wander through with the students, adding additional traffic, and try to learn the layout of the school. And that's what's going to create that extra space there for the common areas to be expanded. So there's services that are in there now that are going to relocate. And it's going to be a really fantastic entrance. And there's going to be a lot of connecting of the outbuildings. So as they've remodeled, a lot of those buildings are freestanding. And so we're going to really begin that work of putting hallways with classrooms so we get more classrooms, but also connect it so that everything begins to be under one roof for safety and security reasons.
Right, right. And probably having those counseling rooms and locations up near the front is a safer thing too, because you're going to have adults coming in there. You want the adults that maybe you don't know to be up near the front where
it's just a way to contain and to separate and to be able to make it make a lot more sense so that you're not having guests come in and try to find an obscure classroom in the third hallway to your left type of situation.
So they're done that,
and additional classrooms are definitely needed there. We still have a lot of teachers who don't have a permanent classroom. They're operating on carts and moving to rooms where teachers are prepping. And so it's really
hard.
time to make those investments. And you mentioned the community really noticing changes, and the high school is a place where you've started to see the construction trailers moving in, and they're getting ready to really come in there and do some prep work over the summer. So and that project is a little bit more juggling in terms of making it all happen, because the students will be remaining in place there. So the next 3 summers, there's going to be extensive construction there at the high school, to the point that there really won't be any activities housed at the high school once school lets out. And those things will have to be relocated to other campuses so that they can really get in there and do some major constructing each summer, the next 3 summers.
It'll be worth it. It'll be definitely worth it. Yeah, so the Reynolds High School is not nearly as old as those other schools, but it's the growth of the community that's really
absolutely
has made it necessary to do this.
And when it was Columbia High initially, it was only really built to serve about 750 students, and we currently have an enrollment between 26 and 2,800.
Wow.
So adding wings and all of that, now this is really going to bring it into a coordinated plan and add that extra space into the footprint that we already have.
Have they been using modular buildings and that kind of thing there, do you know?
No, they just have one out there now that has, I think it's either 2 or 4 classrooms, and that will also be coming out. I don't know if that'll be this summer or in one of the future summers, but that's some space we're going to be capturing for the additional classrooms.
Right. I think the safety issue is one of the things you hear most, and that's what I heard on that video, is that's a really primary concern of the community, especially parents, of course, and the teachers. So that's going to be addressed in this school and in the other schools as well.
In all the schools, there's going to be a really strong and modern safety plan. And in all of the other schools, every school is going to have a secure vestibule that's up to the current standards of today. So those have been updated in the past, and it was a line of sight expectation, that the people at the office could see who was coming and going.
Right.
These secure vestibules are going to basically be a gatekeeping type of situation. You won't be able to enter into the school space with the students without coming through the office with adults and making eye contact with an adult. So there'll actually be a physical barrier. And our newest schools that were built after 2000, those already had those features to them. And it's just, that's, you know, these updates, the standards change, the construction, the safety standards in schools. And so we're going to be catching all of our buildings up in the safety and security area. And it's the secure vestibules, but also, you know, infrastructure that controls the doors and, you know, just a lot of things, locks, alarms, you know, those type of security systems that have changed significantly since the 2000 bond, which was the last time the community made significant investments into our capital program.
Yeah, I was wondering how long it had been since, you know, you've had really significant upgrades and changes, but it's been a while. It's been a while, So the funding comes from the bond measure, and then you're also going to need to, you know, hire people to do all this. Who's in charge of all that? You know, it's going to be immense projects all over the community.
Yeah, these are really large construction projects. They're much, you know, many more and larger than we've done in some of the previous bonds. So there is a lot of information about that. I mean, one of the things to keep in mind is the voter-approved bonds can only be used for capital improvements. And they can only be used for projects that were outlined in the original proposal. So the master planning process that the community really stepped up and was really engaged in, we had over 700 people participate in that to help us really focus in, out of all the capital projects we could do, which ones should we choose. And so there really was a focus on safety, building these buildings really smart, and that can mean a lot of things from energy efficiency, sustainability, but it also means looking ahead and saying, where are we going to have student growth? And so the 3 elementaries will be replaced with schools that are a little bit larger than what we currently have on those sites now. And that will help us use these dollars efficiently and effectively and meet the needs without having to open a 12th elementary school. Because if each of these 3 can take a few more students, then that delays the need for another standalone school, which, you know, the community ends up having to fill that from schools, and kids get separated from their friends and so on. So, you know, putting those expansions in 3 different areas where we're expected to have growth so that your neighborhood school remains close. And so those kind of things are what we meant by being smart and sustainable, and, you know, making those projects really pay. And then the other piece about the financing is we have a citizen oversight committee that's really monitoring the expenditures, and those committee members are volunteers, and they have a really unique perspective and expertise so that the patrons know that, you know, these dollars really did go to the projects that they were supposed to, and they were used efficiently and effectively. So there's a lot of really smart practices going on in the engagement process and the communication to the community, as well as the designs and operation of the buildings for the future.
I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with that. And, you know, the fact that you have a citizen oversight committee, you know, that says that they want to be transparent about what's going on, that there's no, you know, I'm giving this person the, you know, the good deal because they're my neighbor or whatever, you know, that's a good thing. So what about the jobs themselves? Will there be jobs for community members?
That you brought up. And our board was really concerned with this when they were first considering the bond package, because at that time when we were doing the planning, the economy was really slow, and a lot of our family members and our parents of our kids were out of work. And our community has a lot of skilled labor, a lot of tradespeople. The Reynolds name, that's where it came from. Reynolds Aluminum, you know, is how we got our name. So really wanting to honor that and to make the money stay here locally as much as possible. And as you mentioned, the size of these projects, it's about $128 million worth of construction that's going to happen within 5 years. And you're seeing little projects being completed now, and there's going to be a big ramping up as these big projects kick off, and the secure vestibule and safety work really starts affecting more sites over the summer. But part of that is really doing a lot of good community outreach. We're partnering with a firm called Best HQ, and Best HQ holds meetings right in the Rockwood neighborhood every month at the Sunrise Center. And their whole purpose is to certify minority-owned, women-owned, local labor who maybe doesn't have the size of the firm to take on the whole project, but they can be the labor for the larger contractors that have received the bids. And so you can go out to Best HQ. They have a really fantastic Facebook page, and or you can call us in the district, and we will be able to connect you up with Best HQ, and they'll be able to get you certified in order to be able to perform labor under the contract bids that have been awarded. So that's been a really great thing. They've had lots of meetings, and Best HQ is working all through the region. So if you're a laborer and you're currently working over in Washington County, they have a meeting over in that area once a month. So you'd be able to take your lunch hour or whatever, zip over there and take care of it and still be certified to work on our project. So they have these meetings throughout the region as well as here locally once a month. And we can connect you up with Sydney and Best HQ to get that process going, and that's been a really great thing. And we also think that really raises up our local contractor skills. And maybe as they grow in their firm, they might be able to get a bid in the future, but you have to get some experience somewhere in order to grow to that level. And so if you haven't worked with government contracting before, there's a lot of paperwork and working around kids. We have to have background checks and things like that that you might not have to have in traditional construction work. And Best HQ and Day CPM are kind of the leads on, Day CPM is our owner's rep. They're really managing all of the bigger projects and all the moving parts and making sure that this is going to be, done in conjunction with the 3 elementary schools. They're going to be done at the same time. So there's a lot of
a lot of cogs,
a lot of coordination, a lot of project management to make this all happen so those schools can open up.
Well, thank God for them. I'm sure that makes everybody's job a little easier to know that you have somebody doing those things, looking out for the local laborers and looking out for the transparency in the projects, and there's a lot of pieces to it.
Yeah, and keeping these resources, working and leveraging right here in the community. Employees and eating out, and maybe if
that's right.
Visiting.
It's going to bring money to the community.
It's going to really be a good economic engine here for the community in the next few years.
What's the timeline? Do you know when the final date is, when all the projects will be done? Do you have an idea?
The whole project needs to be done within about 5 years of when you sell the bonds, which we sold in August of 2015. So it'll be significantly wrapped up by 2020. And the 3 new schools slated to open in the fall of 2019.
They'll all be opening at the same time. That'll be a big year. That'll be a lot of fun. So you're having groundbreakings through the month of March. So what can we expect at the groundbreakings?
Sure, this is just sort of a party. We did a smaller groundbreaking for the secure vestibules at Sweetbriar Elementary last spring. And that featured some treats and a little bit of entertainment and some nice overview. These projects are far enough along that you'll kind of be able to see the designs and what the front's going to look like, and you'll be able to ask questions like that, well, where's this going to be? And if you attended those schools and you have issues you want to ask about, where was this special rock at Fairview Elementary that we touched in 5th grade on our way to promote to middle school, and those types of things. We want to honor the service these buildings have done, and this is really just celebrating and having a party that's going to kick off the big projects, but obviously when we open the new buildings, we'll also be having ceremonies to honor the former buildings and ribbon cut and move into the new ones. So there's going to be a lot of celebrating from here until when it's done. But this month we're really working on helping the community understand the scope of these bigger projects. And we're going to kick that off tomorrow night on the 9th of March at Troutdale Elementary at 6 p.m. And then next week we have 2. On Tuesday night we have Wilkes Elementary at 6 p.m. That's the 14th of March. And then on Wednesday, at the 15th of March, we'll be doing the same thing at Reynolds High School. And then the following week, Thursday, Fairview Elementary on March 23rd. And all of these events at 6 p.m., completely free to the public. A great chance to come and see the vision and how these design features that people wanted are being worked into the buildings, and see the kids in the buildings today as we launch into preparing the schools of tomorrow.
That's great. Well, we're almost out of time, Andrea, but tell me one thing. If people want to keep informed of what's going on with the projects, how would they do that?
Oh, absolutely. And there is going to be a lot of activity, you know, starting really at the beginning of this summer. People are really going to be seeing, you know, fencing and changes. So we have a whole website just devoted to the bond projects. And it's off of our main website. So it's www.reynolds.k12.or.us.
Does it look like that?
And then it's /bond projects. And it has our little distinctive hard hat to really distinguish it. And then there's that little icon there that looks like a letter that says project updates. If you click on that, then you can sign up to receive regular news and updates. And those kind of updates we anticipate right now. We've been doing a couple updates a year. And these are going to really ratchet up as the projects really start taking shape.
Okay, so if you are a parent of a child in this area, or if you went to any of these schools, or you're just a community member who wants to know what's going on.
If you're a 75-year-old and you know that you're going to be paying for it on your taxes
There
in
you go.
October, and you want to see how we're doing,
If you're in this
is the
community,
place.
you're affected by
Absolutely,
it. So,
yeah.
Thank you, Andrea, very much for filling us in on what's going on with the Reynolds School District. I appreciate it. So if you are interested in, and you should be if you live in this community, go check it out. They're free groundbreakings. You can see what's coming up. And if you have any other questions, go to the website, check it out. I'm Monica Weitzel. We'll be right here in just a few minutes, so don't go away. We'll be right back with more of Community Hotline.
Hotline is made possible with generous support by the Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission. The Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission advocates on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels.
Was more than I ever would have dreamed of doing.
This is a community media station.
It was phenomenal.
Ready camera one.
What is it about this place that makes so many different people come together?
Ready camera two.
Very professional, experienced people.
You can use these industry standard pieces of equipment.
Ready camera three. Take three.
To be rich to do this.
Open people's eyes to something they've never even thought of before.
Cool stuff happens. It becomes this community.
That's going to really change who's telling the stories and who's controlling the messaging.